Bon dia, I am Fiona Rae and I have an exhibition at Es Baluard Museu here in Palma. The title of the exhibition is Vista and it begins with paintings from 1997 and includes a section of paintings from that date till the present date, well, 2025. So it's like a mini survey. So these paintings from 1997, which are in the Es Baluard exhibition, I refer to as the black and white series, and they are pretty monumental in scale. I think at the time I was a young artist, very ambitious to make paintings that grab the attention and immerse the viewer as much as possible. Nothing that sat quietly in the corner, something enveloping and challenging. And I decided that it would be interesting to just make brush marks with black and white, with maybe a few coloured brush marks, using circles, these circles and discs as geometric pointers to anchor the brush marks. I think that I wanted the idea of the ground, the black and white ground, merging with the black and white brush marks so that there's a sense of anxiety and unease. You're never quite sure where you are. I was very influenced by the Terminator 2 film in the 1990s, where the Terminator merges in and out of the background of wherever he is visiting. And that felt like a very contemporary thing at the time, this unease, this no one knows quite where the certain ground is. And I intended these paintings to reflect some of that. This painting is called A Matter of Life and Death, and it's from the year 2000, when I made a series of paintings which I called Fufanu, because I found this contemporary font called Fufanu, which hovers around legibility and illegibility, and I use that as the geometric shapes in these paintings against which I could improvise brushstrokes. I very much wanted to make paintings that looked like the digital world, the computer screen, because at that time that was very new to many of us artists. I only got a power book in about 1999, so it was very exciting to have all of this at our disposal. And I like the idea of using spray paint, which is not something you use in serious high abstraction, but I've always liked the idea of including things in the paintings from all aspects of culture, that there is no hierarchy, anything can be material, anything can be included in a painting. I'm standing in front of the painting Rodeo, which I made in 2001, and this is part of a series which I called Font Series, because again, like the Fufanu series, I used letters of the alphabet from different fonts for the geometric structure to make a kind of dynamic composition for the painting. And in this painting I used glitter, which of course is again not a material considered high art. And I liked the transgressive nature of using that. Not only that, I made these white circles with the glitter with grey spray paint behind so that they look like snowballs or white shapes. Again, a kind of three-dimensional space in the painting. Because abstract expressionism and abstraction are full of the rules of good taste. Mustn't use black, don't make a hole in the painting, don't use materials which aren't just paint. And I like to break all that. So this painting is an example of that. I also, as you can see, I used calligraphic lines which look very like cartoons, but again, you're not quite sure what the cartoon is. I find that there's so much possibility in the brush mark, what it can suggest, whether it's an image, whether it's just a brush mark being a brush mark. And I think this painting encapsulates some of those ideas. This painting is called Touch Your World, and I made it in 2013, and it's part of a series I called the Panda series, because after about 10 years of using all different kinds of cartoon imagery and sampling it in the painting, some examples of which are in the exhibition Vista, I decided to focus on the idea of these small Chinese pandas that I found in a Chinese import shop in New York, and I made them into abstract notional pandas. And I liked the idea of them being these ambiguous protagonists in an abstract universe. So in this painting there is actually the outline of a panda, which you can see it's fighting this kind of tumultuous drenches of paint, these downfalls, these brush marks, these drips. Everything's kind of falling apart and exploding, and then there's this kind of figure which could be the viewer, it could be the protagonist, it could be something unpleasant, it could be something pleasant, floating in amongst all this. And once you look more closely, if you do look more closely, you see that there are tiny eyes and parts of this panda floating in the debris around the painting, as if the whole thing has just exploded and the universe is made up of parts of us and parts of everything. That was roughly the idea for this painting. So this painting is titled Figure G from 2014, and it's a painting from a series of paintings I did called the grayscale paintings. After 25 years of using colour in all its different possibilities and form, I decided to stop using colour altogether and use only black, white and 7 or 8 tones of grey, which I laid out quite carefully on my palette so that I wouldn't end up with a kind of a messy middle grey, so that it's quite distinct. The pale grey, the next pale grey, that there's a precision in just using black and white, because otherwise it could look very dull. My idea was to conjure up a figure, no fonts, no geometric shapes, no bits of imagery. All it is brush marks, no drips, no pours, no special effects. It's brush marks, black, grey, white brush marks, being themselves, being only brush marks, and yet conjuring up the sense of a figure. And I made it this size because I had recently been to the Prado in Madrid, and I was very taken by the idea of these portraits of royal figures or generals or military figures, the kind of the proud portrait, because this is roughly the size of a human being. You can fit in it quite nicely. And so I went from these huge monumental paintings, which we were discussing just now, to this more human size. So each one of these represents a figure, and yet it doesn't represent a figure at all. It's a grey abstract painting. This painting is titled Your Shadow at Morning Striding Behind You from 2025, so it's the newest work in the exhibition, and it's part of a series of paintings which is ongoing called word paintings. And the idea with these was to take a sentence or a quote or a phrase or a title of a film and see whether I could encapsulate those words and letters on canvas without describing them. So in other words, I'm not trying to do an illustrated letter, I'm trying to see whether the language of abstraction can also suggest the language of literature and maybe make some strange new combination, which is, well, I dare to say new, but who knows. The rule to myself was that I have to have convinced myself that I have written the title on this painting. Whether or not someone else can see it doesn't matter too much, because everybody can inhabit their own universe when they look at a painting. It's not a series of instructions, it's a series of suggestions. It's just a possibility. And I think that what I really enjoy about these paintings is that I get to try all different ways of using paint and making little sculptural assemblages of brush marks where I can be very inventive, but because each thing is a small unit on a canvas, it doesn't have to be one great big thing that succeeds over 7 or 8 feet. It's like a vignette or a maquette within the canvas, and then overall you have a composition. It's very important to me that overall there is a sense of a composition ultimately, because a composition is what draws in the viewers to consider something in the first place.